Hi viewers, in this video we will dive into the movie Transformers 1. We will discuss the movie story, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie production details and box office performance. Finally, we will share our personal reactions and reviews of the movie. Let's begin with the movie story. The film starts on Cybertron in Lukon City, a minor port named Orion Pax, voiced by Chris Hemsworth, sneaks into an old building. In it is an archival recording that details the planet Oregon. The first Transformer, Primus, used his body to create Cybertron, and from the planet's core came more Transformers, including the 13 Primes. The matrix of leadership was forged as a major source of power, but after it was lost in time, the planet's source of energon stopped flowing. Two larger Transformers guard catch Orion sneaking around, forcing him to run. Orion runs through the city until he runs into his best friend, fellow miner D-16, voiced by Tyree Henry, who causes a distraction to allow Orion to sneak into a car, evacuating the guard. D-16 idolized Sentinel Prime, the leader of Cybertron, thought his true hero is Megatron's Prime. The two boats head to work where they and other boats are made to mine energon. The group is led by the no-nonsense Elita 1, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. A part in the mine gets hit, which triggered an unstable reaction. The boat starts to head out of there, but Orion and D-16 stop to help Jazz, whose leg gets trapped under rubble. Even though Elita told them to not stop for anything, the two manage to save Jazz and get themselves out of the mine before it caves in. A high-ranking Transformer named Darkwing fires Elita. Orion talks back to Darkwing and almost gets punched about D-16 punches Orion for Darkwing, and Darkwing returns the favor by punching D-16. He is unawed, but Orion later thanks him for having his back. Sentinel Prime broadcasts a message to Lukon City as he is searching for the matrix of leadership to revive the fall of Energon. He also reminds everyone for the upcoming Lukon 5000 race for the next day. At night, Orion proposes to D-16 that they enter the race, but D-16 thinks that they are better off where they are at. The next day, Orion and D-16 head to watch the Lukon 5000, but Orion surprises D-16 by showing off that he got them jet packs so that they can enter the race. D-16 reluctantly joins him, and the two quickly get the attention of everyone watching, including Elita and Sentinel, as well as their fellow miners. After losing their jetpacks, the two improvise by boosting themselves back into the race using a thruster, and then taking advantage of the other Transformers getting pulled in by magnets. Orion and D-16 run towards the finish line only to get beaten by Darkwing as well as everyone else. D-16 is mad at Orion for taking him into the race, fearing that they will get in so much trouble. Instead, Sentinel shows up to command the two for putting on a show. He invites them to join him, only for Darkwing to throw him to a lower level, where they are demoted to smelting. There they meet B-127, a chatty and eager boat. Orion and D-16 find the B has a hidden distress beacon from Alpha Tyrion, one of the primes. The beacon produces ordnance through the surface, where Orion believes that they will find the remains of the primes as well as the matrix of leadership. He convinces a reluctant D-16 to join, while B is more than ready to get out of there. The three boats sneak past secretly as they board a train to the surface, but they are stopped by Elita, who follows them while she is prepared to confront them. She joins them as they see the water above the surface of the first time. A surge of energon causes the landscape to grow at a rapid pace, causing the boost train to crash. The four start making their way forward, hiding from a ship belonging to the Carstens, long-time enemies of the Transformers. After evading capture, the Boots come upon a cave containing the corpse of the Primes. Orient uses a small sample of energon to revive Alpha Tyrion. He awakens distraught to discover his brothers long dead and the Matrix long gone. When Tyrion learns that the Four work under Sentinel, he is quick to refer to Sentinel as a false prime and a traitor. Using a recorded memory, Tyrion shows the Four that the Primes battled the Quintessence in the War of Cybertron, only for Sentinel to betray them and align himself with the enemy to live like a king. After he killed the other Primes, Sentinel tried to make the Matrix for himself, but since the Matrix chooses who can use it, it deemed him unworthy and vanished for existence. After hearing noise, the Four go outside the cave to find Quintessence ships descending to meet with Sentinel himself. He presents them with the harvested energon, but the Quintessence Legion nearly kills Sentinel for the low supply. D16 becomes enraged to learn that Sentinel is responsible for the drought of energon and for the fact that Sentinel took the transformation cogs for each of the boats to prevent them from taking on their more powerful forms. Tyrion gives Orient D16, B and Elita the cogs of the other primes, officially making them Transformers. As they take their new forms, Sentinel's goons led by Arachival go after them. Tyrion holds them back in his beast form to fight them before Aranid overpower him. The Four Boots try to get the hang of their new powers while evading war goons. After getting to safety, D16 vows to make Sentinel pay for his crimes by killing him. Arachan brings Tyrion before Sentinel, who taunt the fallen Prime over the death of his brother. Tyrion calls Sentinel a traitor once again before he executed Tyrion. He then sent Arnold to find the Boots. Orient tries to talk D16 down for his ego. While the recorded memory on hand, he hopes that they can show off of Sentinel treachery to Lucon City. But D16 refuses to follow any leader ever again. Moments later, they plus B and Elita get captured. They awaken to find themselves with the Cybertronian High Guard, led by Starscream and his top guards Shockwave and Soundwave. They have been in hiding for Sentinel, for which D16 calls them out on. Starscream takes his challenge and fights D16 only to get overpowered and have his voice box damaged. D16 then realizes the rest of the High Guard to look to him as their new leader so that they can come out of hiding and destroy Sentinel once and for all. Arachnid, joined by both Sentinel troops and Christian ship, locate the boats and the High Guard, launching an aerial attack. The Boots go into the battle, now utilizing their newfound Transformers weaponry, but D16 and B are among the captured prisoners after Sentinel forces lay siege to the hideout. The recorded memory has also been destroyed, leaving them without their proof. Orient feels responsible for what has happened. About Elita talk him out of his feelings to inspire him to return and get help. Orient gathers Shockwave, Soundwave and the remaining High Guard to go back to Lucon City. The prisoners are brought before Sentinel. D16 wastes no time in sitting his former hero know what he thinks of him now. Sentinel tries to knock D16 down, but he refuses to kneel and get back on his feet. Sentinel then sees the image of Magnetron's Prime that D16 keeps and he brands it onto his chest. Orion and Elita make it to the mines after Orion knocks Draken like out to round up the rest of the miners, filling them in on Sentinel's betrayal and why they need to stop him the right away. The other Boots cheat Orion on and follow him into battle. As the Boots make their way into the city, they are spotted by Air Chandel. The hero Boots fights Sentinel forces while he takes on his final wing form to battle Orion and D16. Elita fights Air Chandel until she manages to subdue her and bring her with B to a tower, where they broadcast her memory logs and show Sentinel admitting to his crimes. The city quickly turns on him and in his distracted state, D16 attacks him and prepares to strike the killing blow. Orion stands in his way to try and talk him down again, but D16 is too far gone to back down. He raises his gun arm and fires a shot at Sentinel. but Orion takes a shot, dealing a heavy blast to his body. D16 grabs Orion before he falls down a deep chasm, only for his eyes to glow red and declare that he is done saving him. D16 drops Orion down the hole in front of B and Elita before proceeding to tear Sentinel in half and ripping out his cog, which he is turned stole of the Magnetron Prime. D16 addresses his followers by his new name, Megatron. Orion falls deeper and deeper until he goes nearer to the planet's core. A beam of light pulls him closer, and Orion is met by the spirits of the 13 Primes as well as Primes himself. For his sacrifice, they have deemed Orion worthy of inheriting the matrix of leadership and being the one to bring back Cybertron. Thus, Orion Pax is reborn as Optimus Prime. Megatron is joined by Shockwave, Soundwave, and the other High Guard in laying siege to the city and tearing down Sentinel's momentums. B and Elita make an effort to fight them off while Optimus rises from below more powerful than ever. The Farmer Friends battle is out until Optimus uses his swords to destroy Megatron. Guns, Optimus punish Megatron as forces from the city, and the two part on Biter Thames as sworn enemies. Optimus uses the Matrix to revive the follow of Energon across Cybertron. He appoints Alita to be his commander while B is made his right-hand boot. Optimus then redistributes the transformation cog to all of the miners, turning them into his new team, the Autobots. While he limits the loss of his best friend, even remembering the first time they met, Optimus vows to lead the fight of Cybertron against the Quintessence and all other enemies. The Autobots then proceed to roll out. B goes to his old mining level with the fake friend he made. Mid-credit scene only to accidentally decapitate them with his laser knife hands. The post-credit scene in the movie is that Megatron gathered the High Guard in a revenge mission against Optimus and the Autobots. They renamed themselves the Deception and set their plans in motion. Transformers 1 continues worrying 7 years box office trend for the franchise. Transformers 1's overwhelming commercial performance continued the Transformers franchise gradual decline at the box office after 7 years of financial disappointments. Transformers 1 marks the first time an animated Transformer film has been released in theater since the series' inaugural feature adaptation. The Transformers the movie was released in 1986. The new animated movie is one of several projects to came out of the writer's room that Paramount set up with the aim of turning Transformers into a Marvel-style cinematic universe. But that initiative still has yet to deliver a Marvel-sized box office success. With Toy Story 4 director Josh Cooley at the helm and a star-studded cast including Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and Lawrence Fishburne, Transformers 1 seems to have everything going for it. It was a throwback to the old school 80s cartoon and the original hard sacrifice approach to the franchise, with mostly positive review from critics and a relatively modest budget behind it. It should have been a hit, but it ended up being the latest in a long time of box office disappointment for the Transformer movie franchise. Transformer 1 is the fourth consecutive Transformer movie to decline at the box office. The box office underperformance of Transformer 1 continues a disappointment trend within the Transformer franchise that's been over 7 years in the making. Ever since Transformer Age of Extinction, every successive Transformer movie has grossed less than the previous one via the numbers. McHale-based original Transformer movie from 2007 started the franchise on solid ground with a worldwide gross of $7 million. His first sequel, 2009 Revenge of the Fallen, despite receiving much worse reviews, grossing even more with a global haul of $83 million, which set the series up for a bright future. In 2011, the franchise broke the $1 billion barrier with what is still its high-grossing entry, Transformers Dark of the Moon, which grossed $123 million. The next one, 2014 Age of Extinction, suffered a slight drop-off, but it still crossed its $1 billion threshold. It brought in around $19 million less than its producer for a worldwide total of 1,104 million, the franchise really started to go downhill with its next installer 2017 The Last Night, which grossed 60 million. It still managed to make a profit on its 217 million production budget, but it was an almost 50% drop of the previous film's numbers. After the underperformance of The Last Night, Paramount began to move away from Bara Transformers and hoped to bring the franchise back to its root with the light-hearted, 80s sad spin-off Bambi in 2018, but despite receiving better reviews than any previous Transformer movie, with many critics deemed to be the first live-action Transformer film that was actually generally good movie, Bumblebee still grossed less than The Last Night with a global total of 464. It had a significantly lower budget of $102 million, but it was still a far carry for the franchise blockbuster glory days. After that, Paramount went back to sparkling, cathartic, bass-style, what is at stake performer movie with 2013 Rise of the Beast, with was met the mixed reviews. Rise of the Beast grossed just 43, which was not a huge drop off from Bumblebee, but was still considered a disappointment, especially considering it cost almost twice as much as Bumblebee to produce. With a budget of 185 million, a year later Paramount has released Transformer 1, which has grossed just 127 million, making is the lowest grossing Transformer movie since the original 1986 animation, which grossed a plenty $58 million. Why Transformer movies have been struggling at the box office? And there are a couple of reasons why the Transformer franchise has been struggling at the box office for the past few movies. The excuse of franchise fatigue is often thrown around when Marvel movies underperform at the box office. But hits like Deadpool and Wolverine and Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3 have consistently proven that wrong. In the case of Transformers, franchise fatigue might actually be the case. Audience had their fun with the first few movies, but when The Last Night came along with the same old routine, they realized they had their fill of these shape-shifting Cybertron. There's a wide range of characters and gender explored in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a movie could be a semi-grounded heist film. The next could be a space adventure, but there are only so many ways to spin alien robots that turns into cars. The Transformer movies has never received positive reviews, but that didn't stop people from turning out of Revenge of the Fallen or Darker of the Moon. It could be that in a recent year the market has become absurdly saturated, so audiences have a lot more options to choose from. Transformer 1 was always unlikely to match the live-action film at the box office. While its overwhelming gross of 127 million in currently a surprise since it's an animated film, Transformer 1 was always expected to gross less than its live-action counterparts. There's a common misconception that animated is just for children, so a lot of adult viewers with disposable income tend to avoid them in theater unless they have kids to entertain. The marketing seems to lean into his expectation, as the trailer was targeted specifically at younger viewer, so it was never going to live up to the live-action film at the box office. Even the Spider-Man movies, which has been hailed as masterpieces and cultural landmarks, have both failed to make anywhere near as much as the vast revived live-action Spider-Man films. Other animated movies have been successful this year. Inside Out 2 and Despicable Me 4 are two of the highest grossing films of 2024. But they came from franchises that have always been aimed at kids. The Wild Robot, which outgrossed Transformer 1, is adapted from a popular children's book stories, which Transformer 1, the franchise Transformers, was essentially going after a whole new audience than before. Even the Spider-Verse movies, which has been hailed as masterpieces and cultural landmarks, have both failed to make anywhere near as much as the first reviewed live-action Spider-Man films. What Transformers 1's box office performance means for the future. The box office disappointment of Transformers 1 probably means it will not get a sequel. The same thing probably happened with the planned Rise of the Beast sequel after the movie's similarity underperformed at the box office. Blue Beetle's Angle Minnesota is working on standalone Transformer movie, and the G.I. Joe crossover is definitely happening, so it will not stop the franchise dead. But it could cause Paramount to rethink its plan for the franchise future. Transformer 1 is now winning the battle of the box office flops. Despite receiving polar opposite critical response, with one a high-rated certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes success and other a critically panned sequel, Transformer 1 and Joker Foley RDX have been neck and neck at this year's box office. Both movies failed to live up to their box office expectations, considering the $1 billion achieved elsewhere in their respective franchise. However, the loss likely of the two has now come out on top, with Transformer 1 officially overtaking Joker Foley RDX at the 2024 domestic box office. While there are certainly several other factors at play, including their very different target demographics and each film production budget, it's impressive to see the widely touted Transformers movie pull ahead of the much-tested Joker sequel. Joker Foley RDX currently has 58.2 million, with Transformer 1 as a cheers bet ahead on $58.5 million. This comes following the most recent weekend at the box office, in which Transformer 1 outperformed the controversial musical despite having been in theater for much longer. Transformer 1 may not have been one of the year's biggest blockbuster, being co-production with Hasbro Entertainment with a markedly smaller budget, with the Joker sequel marks it a much bigger success despite the small margin between the films total. It's news like this that makes up another nail in Joker Foley RDX coffin, with the sequel disappointing worldwide and proving that critical and public response will always impact ticket sales. In Martin Tessier review of the film for Collider, he said, Phillips had one job, which was to recreate the jet ring of the original Joker to capitalize on the commercial and award success. A meddling courtroom tool and half-baked musical is not the kind of victory lap everyone wants. Your best bet is to go rewatch The People's Joker and pretend this never happened. Despite Transformers 1 overwhelming box office haul, Paramount is thriving. A higher ups at Paramount Pictures need not worry, as 2014 has proven to be another positive year of the company. In total, Paramount Pictures' domestic box office total in 2014 has surpassed 55,000 million thanks to several fair-earning projects. Alongside Transformer 1, the likes of the return of Mean Girls, John Krasinski If horror prequel A Quiet Place Day 1, and the Bob Marley biopic Bob Marley One Love have all contributed to Paramount's success. The latest project to help props the company to his milestone has been a hotly anticipated sequel, Smile 2, with the film not just earning plenty of ticket sales but also heaps of critical praise. Transformer 1 has surpasses Joker Foley RDX at the 2024 domestic box office. You can still get tickets to see the films in theaters now. Transformers 1 crawls towards its next domestic box office milestone. Transformer 1 has been one of the big surprises of the year, currently standing on the second highest rated movie in the franchise, behind only Bumblebee. However, the film's box office results have not matched up to its critical and audience acclaim, as its gross domestic gross is just over $54 million. Crossing 55 million will be the big milestone for Transformer 1, but its daily totals are dropping more and more by the day, most recently earning just over 40 million on Tuesday, putting it in the 7th place in the United States of the day with a 47% drop-off. The animated Transformer flick even fell short of Piece by Piece, a Lego biopic on Pharrell Williams' life, and Saturday Night, the comedy film detailing the final hours up to the first ever performance of Saturday Night Live. For the 2024 domestic ranking, Transformer 1 currently stands in the 25th spot, just ahead of Joker Foley RDX, but more than $10 million behind The Beekeeper, the Jason Statham-led action flick, which has also found major success streaming on Prime Video. Joker 2 earned more than double Transformer 1 on Tuesday and is present to pass the film by the end of the weekend if the numbers stay at the same rate. Transformer 1 just recently passed Challenger's Z Space tennis drama that narrowly crossed the $50 million mark domestically, coupled with 49 million internationally on a reported budget of roughly $75 million. Transformer 1 had still managed to out-earn its production cost by nearly $40 million, something that many movies such as Argylle, The Fall Guy, and Furiosa all failed to do despite big budget and major stars. Who stars in Transformer 1? Transformer 1 is top-lined by two Marvel veteran and one franchise newcomer as Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson were trapped to play Optimus Prime and Elita 1, respectively, and Eternal star Tyree Henry also featured as Megatron. Mad Men icon John also plays the role of Sentinel Prime in the film, with Lawrence Fishburne playing Alpha Tyrion and Steve Buscemi featuring as Starscream. Keegan-Michael Key also plays the legendary Transformer Bumblebee, and the film was written by Marvel scribes Aaron Peterson, Andrew Barron, and Gabriel Ferrari, and directed by Josh Cooley. Transformer 1 is still playing in theater everywhere. New Transformer movie with 98% Rotten Tomato score finally passes major global box office milestone. After just 3 weeks in theater, Transformer 1 has finally reached a major global milestone. The Transformer franchise is easily one of the most profitable film series, with a combined total of $5.28 billion. However, Transformer 1 has been struggling at the box office since its release in September, debuting at $24.6 million domestically. This is in contrast of the movie's budget of $75 to $147 million, making it one of the most disappointed box office stars this year, despite the film gaining near unanimous positive review from critics and audience. Recently, Deadline reported that Transformer 1 has now made $111.4 million at the global box office. Of that total, approximately $52.8 million came domestically, with the film currently ranking at number 6 on the box office chart. The international total is $58.5 million, although the movie will not be released in France until October 23. Why Transformer 1 is unlikely to become a box office success? Unfortunately, Transformer 1 became the latest victim of being a highly acclaimed movie that failed to perform at the box office. Much of this could be attributed to the franchise inconsistency with their live-action movies, ranging from being critically mixed to poorly reviewed. The trend seems apparently given the last year Rise of the Beast barely passed break-even with $441 million globally. Still, this disappointment is baffling given Transformer 1 became one of the best reviewed movies in the franchise with an 88% critical score and a near perfect 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. With the higher range of the reported budget of $147 million, Transformer 1 would need to at least $300 million to reach the break-even point. That's unlikely to happen given that the animated film is already reaching 1 month in theater and there will be more competition with the release of Smile 2 and Venom: The Last Dance. The film is also reaching its last legs in the theater, where even a new additional international markets will not make a difference in uplifting its box office total. Hence, many outlets has been deemed the movie a box office bomb. Our take on Transformers 1 reaching $111 million globally. I am disappointed that a great movie like Transformer 1 endured such losses at the box office. It's easily the best Transformer movie in the franchise due to the visual effects, the tragic backstory of Optimus and Megatron, and the violent fight sequence. However, I hope that even the poor box office will not hinder the potential to explore the rich story. I would love to see the sequel that shows where the Transformer 1 character go next in the Cybertron. However, there is still some time for redemption via streaming, which I believe is where it will find its audience, and word of mouth will push that encouragement. Transformer 1 movie reviews. I cry a lot during movies. Toy Story 3 made me cry, so did Coco, Everything Wears All at Once, The Little Women. Now I can add Transformer 1 to the list, a prequel which examines the friendship between Optimus Prime and Megatron before they became enemies. I have a unique relationship with this franchise. Overall, I don't think the quality of the movies is necessarily very high. Although I really liked Rise of the Beast, despite its 51% Rotten Tomatoes rating, I thought the Beast Transformers were really cool. Okay, but I have always loved the look of the Transformers. I love how the collectively click into cool machines like these techno-organic sci-fi creatures. And now, after 7 movies over 17 years, I somehow feel emotionally bonded to these robots. So much so that I almost start falling that Optimus and the gang first transformed in Transformers 1. Why, I have no idea. It could be that I am a massive crybaby, or maybe I am particularly suspicious to emotional moments in kids' movies that are not afraid to be hard hitting as their grown up counterparts. I actually asked Chris Hemsworth and Tyree Henry, they voiced Optimus Prime and Megatron respectively, about this. I think that what's so great about the whole experience of storytelling when there's mythology and allegory and things that spark conversation. Chris told me that I loved about the script is that I had all of these layers and questions. Is he truly evil? Is he truly good? What happened to their friendship and why did it fall apart? I think the 80s cartoon did that in a huge way. Brian did. We are from the ill where we were Saturday morning cartoons, which we realize doesn't exist anymore. Animation has a huge ability to talk about things that we sometimes cannot talk about, especially with young audience. I remember seeing the Transformer movies, and that was my first time seeing that death was possible. There are a lot of things from that era that animation was not afraid to talk about. While editing the video interview with Chris and Brian, I added clips from animated film that went so much harder than they needed to. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish was phenomenal from start to finish, and this scene where Puss has an anxiety attack was incredible to see in the kids movie. This fucking scene in Kung Fu Panda 2 is on another level. I think it hits some kind of generation trauma spot, particularly around parental sacrifice, and it's like Super Asian caught it, so I am extra suspicious. These animated films are embraced as masterpieces, and I think Transformer 1 is on a similar level. It's easily one of the two best Transformer movies, along with 2018 Bumblebee. It has a strong narrative, a solid sci-fi adventure storyline, incredible visuals, great pacing. It's a good movie. Okay, why did I cry? Thought it was when they are transformed as slow motion. It was a huge payoff moment in the story, coming after lots of talk about how they had to earn their transformation privilege. So I maintain that was a high dramatic moment. At the same time, it's a kid movie about robots that turned into vehicles. Kung Fu Panda 2 had family heartbreak. This is about transforming cars. My theory is that the Transformer franchise imprinted on me at a vulnerable time in my life when I was more susceptible to becoming obsessed with a form of media. I have loved a lot of movies recently, but it's not quite the same way as how I loved movies as a teenager. At the time, I was scrambled for a sense of identity, trying to figure out what I liked, what defined me, and what made me different. Transformer was one of my first unfortunate attempts at being a pick me girl. The first live action movie came out in 2007 and started Megan Fox, who was a sight of behold. I immediately looked up to her as the blueprint of the coolest girl alive. Looking back, she is so coded for the male gaze, it almost a parody. That part where she opens the trunk and knows all the stuff about cars while looking like a goddamn supermodel. So bad that it's perfect. While we don't know all the facts about what went down between her and the director Michael Bay, she left the franchise after 2 movies. Her career and image were deeply mishandled. Case in point, the marketing of Jennifer's body, which remains one of the biggest cinematic fumble of all time. Her power was simply too great for the 2000 and she was a huge reason I was upset with the Transformer franchise. I was desperately seeking someone to identify with or emulate. The incredible Linkin Park soundtrack also perfectly stored my teenage angst. Of course, there are countless limited issues with the franchise which has grown more and more obvious with time, especially the deeply unforgettable racial story type they managed to perpetuate with robots, the aforementioned unrelevant male gaze, and the ridiculously drag out action scenes, but all of that weren't performably over by teenage ahead and I was locked in. Now this damn transforming robot have imprinted on my psyche in a way that makes absolutely no sense. Especially without the cultural power of Megan Fox, but as long as they keep making the occasional banger like 2008 Bumblebee and Transformer 1, I am rolling with it. Transformer movie reviews. Animated organ tale is fun fan service. Optimus Prime is typically a adored and self-serious figure in both the 80s cartoon and the Michael Bay directed Transformer movies. The leader of the Autobots, a red, blue, and continental robot who can contract like a Rubik cube into a big red, typically puts on a noble warrior performance with his rigid posture and voice and those tinny and operatic speech. He was not always that way according to Transformer 1, a movie that turns those full-throated operatic speech into a running gag. The animated organ story gives us a grinning, rascally, and rebellious young Optimus who is constantly cracking jokes and getting his best friend Megatron, just the one who will become his nemesis, into trouble. This Optimus, who at one point is described as bluntly Optimus Gatin, makes the movie built around him considerably lighter and arguably more fun than almost all the other entries in the Behemoth franchise, though that's not saying a whole lot. Transformer 1 is the latest attempt after Birbli and Rise of the Beasts as resting a movie series based on the Hasbro toy line that has ranked it more than 5 billion at the box office. The loud and incredible franchise, which often left us more bowbeat than walked thanks to bass bombast, is essentially reduced to scrap metal and recycled into something more contained, coherent, and palatable, but also generic. The boots in Transformer 1 are here to show off more personality, but the movie does not really have one of its own. Say what you will about base cathartic spectacle, which were often just catastrophic, they were clearly the product of this uninhabited vision and never felt as quality control and returned to the algorithm as Transformer 1. Transformers 1 even features Marvel aspect. Chris Hemsworth, the Thor star, lends his voice to Optimus Prime, who, when we first meet him, is called Orion Pax. He is introduced breaking into an achieve like a robot Indiana Jones. Orion is trying to dig up hidden secret from his home planet, Cybertron, and set his day, searching for hints as to where he could find a lost thingamig that will help recharge his static energy source. A great metaphor for this movie relationship or its franchise. Orion's hoping the discovery will relieve him and his competitor who are trolling as cogs in a mine. Like the mechanized labor in Metropolis, like Fitzlang's sacrifice Tuchna's, Cybertron have as an impressive class structure. The overlords can transform into vehicles, while the working grunts lacking the individual power source that allow shape-shifting are dropped into thinking they are serving some higher ceiling in anonymity. But Orion comes into his own by breaking from the pack, going on a hero's journey and becoming, as they say, more than meets the eye. The writing team here is not about reciting the brand's slogan to punctuate tropes. They fare better with the slapstick comedy. How this movie makes part falls funny again and actually quite miraculous, and the lively banter between the bots, voiced by a hysterical cast led by Hemsworth and Brian Terry Henry. The latest D16 is the BFF on the receiving end of Orion's first bumps until he becomes Megatron. Scarlett Johansson is Elite One, a wound-up survivor full of quiet results, is one struggling deep cut. He discusses Orion and his friends as a bunch of gay bots, referencing Wonka completing two lines of robot in disguise. Meanwhile, Keegan Michael steals the movie as B-127, a motor spin on Bombly, pulling up on a constant source of comic relief. The aesthetic here is mostly hard out, as if the filmmakers are beholder to the synthetic looks passed down for Transformers of old. Thought they do find opportunity for some witty visual gigs. I'm thinking the sight of poor sleeping at charging station to performers dream of Vespa sheep and the Rebo deep crashing on Cybertron's surface instead of getting stuck in headlights. These deer actually have lights on their head which flicker red when sensing danger. The joys in transformation one eventually gives way to cacking franchise gear when the labor of a fan service vehicle must be performed and the giggly characters have to glossrod transforms into the roles we know them for tiny spaces and all. Megatron's villain origin story, I am almost embarrassed to say, feels blabbered and rushed. Expecting convincing character development in the Transformers movie sound original, right? Because I was having enough fun with Transformer 1 that has almost made me believe it could pull it off. Transformer 1 is out on 19 August. Transformer 1 reviews. Growing up, I never got to see the Transformers the movie on the big screen. The only theater in Chicago that was playing it was nowhere near me, and I had to wait until it came out on video to watch it. Even when I had to wait until a copy was in stock to take it home to watch it, I remember how shocking it was to see some of my favorite characters get killed off. Out of all the action sequences, the one that always stuck with me in the fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron. I just felt the hurted Megatron had and hoped Prime would get the best of him, but we all know how that ended. Here we are 38 years later from the first animated movie, and that fight feels so much different now. In Transformers 1, we get to see the friendship between Orion Pax and D16, who would later become Optimus Prime and Megatron. The movie shows up how their close friendship slowly deteriorates into what we see in the Transformers the movie. Just like Professor X and Magneto, we are shown how two people who are best friends become mortal enemies due to difference in their beliefs. The story is pretty straightforward. Orion Pax is looking for clues on how to find the legendary matrix of leadership to save Cybertron. Since he does not have a Transformer cog, he is assigned to work in the mines with the other non-transformating robot to dig for energon. It is in these mines that he meets D16 and they become long life friends. From the introduction of Orion, we see that he has tried to find information before and D16 bails him out of trouble. They both feel that there is more to their lives, but since they work in the mines, they know they will be seen as nothing more than mining robots. Orion has an idea for the two to enter the Legon 5000 to not only win it because gain prestige for the mine robot, but entering the race they get the attention of Sentinel Prime, the head of Cybertron, and their life changes drastically. The two end up learning a lot about the head of Cybertron and go on a mission to find the matrix of leadership. On this mission, they are joined by Alita 1 and B-127. B-127 is the comedic element of the movie and had some great lines throughout the movie, especially when he is discovering all of the new improvement to his body, knife hands. As Orion and D16 find out the truth about what happened to the Primes, we see the rift in the friendship start to begin. Where since Orion wants to reveal the truth and help the people of Cybertron, D16 feels that Sentinel Prime needs to pay for what he did. D16 feels that death is the price that should be paid. Orion feels that the punishment should not be that severe. Little by little, we see how D16 defenses is getting the attention of those that feel the same way. It is not until D16 goes full dark side that you know the line has been crossed and their friendship will never be the same again. Transformers 1 has to be one of the best Transformers movie that has come out in a while. From the writing to the action and the animation, the movie looks like they did their homework to give Transformer fans something to be excited about. While stories of friendship turning into enemies is something that we have seen millions of times, it is always interesting to see how they got to that point. We are given glimpses of the friendship between Optimus Prime and Megatron in the various shows, but we never get an origin story on how their friendship ended. Transformer 1 is a fantastic Transformer movie that gives us a new look into the plot of Optimus Prime. The action is fantastic and moves the story along right to its final battle. The dynamic between Hemsworth Orion and Henry D16 is great and heartbreaking at the same time. This is one vision of the Transformer world that I would love to see expanded in future movies. The theme about friendship and standing up for what you believe is great for kids to see. It is also good to see how some of these beliefs lead to rifts in friendship. There is animated violence between the robots. Bumblebee gets a little excited cutting up people with his knife hands. Transformer 1 is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies but once were friends, bonded like brothers who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. In the first ever fully CG animated Transformers movie, Transformer 1 features a star-studded voice cast including Chris Hemsworth, Tyree Henry, Scarlett Johansson, Keegan, Michael Key, Steve with Lawrence Fishburne and Jan Oman. The Transformer 1 movie, a new Transformer for a new generation. I'm not going to bury the lead here, this movie rocks. Before I get to that, there's what you need to know about this movie. Transformer 1 goes back to the beginning to tell the story of the Optimus Prime, the Orion Pax and Megatron, then D16 as they attempt to become more than meets the eye. See what I did there. To be completely honest, I was not looking forward to this movie after seeing the first glimpse a few months ago. However, a solid final trailer and the excitement of my children had me slowly raising my hopes that this could be something worth watching. Let me tell you, it was so much more than I could have hoped. So let me break down that worked and did not work for me in this film. Voice cast. First thing first, the cast of this movie was fantastic. While Scarlett Johansson and Keegan Michael Key were great as usual, Lawrence Fishburne as Alphatron and John Hamm as Sentinel Prime stood out as incredibly memorable characters, but Steve Buscemi as Starscream was inspired casting. While his voice is so recognizable, he still managed to become the Scream we all love to hate. Which brings me to the two stars of the show, Tyree Henry as D16 Megatron and Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax or Optimus Prime. Tyree Henry did a phenomenal job of bringing a character that the audience knows will be the wrong side of the fight by the end with thoughts and heart, leading the viewer to understand his reasoning. Henry took me on an emotional roller coaster with his performance in this. Chris Hemsworth, while I truly love his work and understand his talent, was the one major concern I had going into this. As a child of the late 80s and early 90s, Peter Cullen is and always will be Optimus Prime. The last thing I wanted to see was Chris Hemsworth doing a poor man's imitation for 2 hours. Thankfully, that is not what he did. Hemsworth made this role his own while giving some not so subtle vocal notes to the man whose voice made Optimus Prime so memorable. Animation. This is a visual stunning film. The animation style was crisp and clean, the colors were vibrant and the action was visceral. Each scene was a spectacle and I found myself disappointed if I had to look away for even a moment. Fearing I would miss something, I appreciated the fact that the filmmaker went with the clean and crisp style instead of the popular sketched quality of the Spider-Verse films and recent TMNT movie. That style fits the story, but you are dealing with robots in disguise The hard lines are what we are needed. The final thoughts. At the end of the day, Transformer 1 is the story of the best of friends becoming bitter enemies. While this is a familiar trope in storytelling, these films succeed because it takes the time to get to know these characters. What do they want? What are their lives like? How do they feel about each other? By the time this movie wrapped up, I felt completely satisfied with the story and where the character ended up. There were great moments of humor, intense action, and heart-wrenching emotional beats. For long-time fans of the franchise, you will love the subtle and not-so-subtle callbacks to past Transformers projects. One towards the beginning, I will not spoil it, but you will catch it. I had me chunking for hours after seeing the movie. To reiterate my first point of this review, this movie rocks. Equal parts nostalgia, action, and heart make this the perfect package. Excellent voice acting, stellar visual, and a heartfelt story combines to make this a must-see film and the best Transformers movie to date. I said that I would break down that worked and what did not work for me with this movie. In case you have not noticed, I did not write any negatives that because I have none. I am giving Transformer 1 a 5.5. Transformer 1 movies review. Beginning of the story, Transformer 1 brings heart and character depth to reboot franchise. I am just the age where Transformers of any kind, the Hasbro toys, animated series, the many movies didn't really have much of an impact on me. As a result, familiar character and mythology didn't mean anything to me as the film began rolling out in 2007. That being said, not having anything to compare the film to, I have enjoyed my experience watching each new property get released and being able to review them as poorly filmed entities. This process has led to some unexpected surprises, giant disappointment, and unique experiences that are not dependent on prior knowledge beyond the previous film's work. Which brings us to one of the biggest surprises in my Transformers education, the CG animated feature Transformer 1. Although, if I am being honest, I have talked the last two live action movies quite a bit, Bumblebee and Transformers The Rise of the Beast. The film is not only an organ story showing us the beginning of an age-old rivals, Optimus Prime and Megatron. They started out as the best of friends, but also how both received the transformation powers that make Optimus original voice Orion Pax and voiced by Chris Hemsworth, the leader of his home planet of Cybertron and turned Megatron, original name D16 and voiced by Tyree Henry, into his storm enemy. The two were lolly minor boors who looked up to those who could transform with the help of something called transformation cogs or T-cogs with EV and NV. It's the mind energon that's the power source that keeps all things and Cybertron running, especially the boors. The leader of all is Sentinel Prime, who was seen as a great source for good. But when Orion Pax and D16 catch wind that Sentinel Prime intentions might not all be good when it comes to handing out T-cogs, they team up with bots named Alita 1, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, the competent one, and B-127, the cutterbox and less competent one, and escape the big city. They head into some forbidden zone or other, perhaps searching for answer or at least other like-minded Autobots who also know or suspect the truth. VIP Steve Buscemi shows up deep in the film as Starscream, the leader of a group of rebellious bots who are willing to go against Sentinel Prime if needs be, and the seeds of Optimus' loyal group of followers if planted. Perhaps I should not be completely shocked that Transformer 1 turned out as well as it did, since director Josh Cooley co-wrote the screenplay for the original Inside Out and directed Toy Story 4, which took that many believed was a played-out franchise and breathed new life into it. Here, he takes the classic organ story tropes of two characters as close as family, turning on each other because they see the path to equality and freedom. very differently and applies it to a series whose good guy, bad guy lines have always been drawn in thick black and white permanent marker. There's actual character development, growth, story arc, and dare I say humanity in this film about robots with morals and compassion. And they leave room for the possibility of more films taking place on Cybertron before the events of the first live action Transformers movie. Not that we need that film acknowledged again, and I truly hope they explore such stories. There is tension, action, intrigue, laughs, and a terrific league of voice actors. I didn't even mention Lawrence Fishburne, but now I have, all of which was actually gotten me excited about the future of these movies for the first time ever. The film is playing in the theaters. Transformer 1 is a breath of fresh air with a fantastic voice cast and an action packed finale. This is definitely aimed at a younger audience for the first half, and I do miss Peter Cullen as Optimus, but this is still far more entertaining than I was expecting and well worth checking out if you are a Transformers fan. The untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as swarm enemies but who once were friends bonded like brothers who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. The trailer for Transformer 1 made it look very much like a kids film, and with too much armor and something just filled off to me. I find with so many movies today they suffer from the MCG fix where anytime something dramatic happens, someone has to say something funny which takes away any threat or sense of stakes. Although Transformer 1 does have a few moments like that as the drama builds up towards the final, it gets far more serious and it ends up becoming one of the best Transformers movie to date. The 1986 classic will always be number one for me, mostly due to sheer childhood trauma, but this is way up there. The first half of the film I thought was mostly light-hearted with plenty of jokes as expected, but not much in the way of action. The jokes were actually pretty funny as we got genuine laughs while also developing the characters who would become Optimus Prime and Megatron. I like seeing their early friendship and how it eventually goes very wrong. Chris Hemsworth's voice Orion Pax, soon to be Optimus Prime, with Brian Tyree Henry voice Megatron. The supporting cast is impressive too, including Scarlett Johansson, Keegan Michael Key, John Hamm, Steve Modesty, and Lawrence Fishburne. I will always associate Peter Cullen with Optimus Prime, so it's hard to get used to another voice, but Chris Hemsworth does an admirable job considering the huge shows as he has to fill. The script is sharp, and although this is mostly aimed at a younger audience, the final half hour is action-packed with reboot, beatdowns, and explosion galore. Unlike the Michael Bay films, it also doesn't overstay its welcome, coming in just over 90 minutes. In that time, we get a decent story, funny dialogue, and an explosive final that should please the majority of Transformers fans. Overall, Transformers is one of the better movies and a welcome reward which deserved to a bigger success. The second half really ups the action and the story gets quite intense considering this is mostly a kids movie. Transformer 1 The Graphically Transforms Animation. I have nearly thought I had seen myself write this about a Transformer movie, but Transformer 1 is actually an unexceptional movie. I used to dread going to these live action animations mashup because I found them to be the Sherlock imagination of Michael Bay at his cash grabbing worst. I know that's harsh, but for me, one who never played the Transformers when I was a kid, I found them silly and annoying. The live action humans always overacted and never quite fitting in. But now that the Transformers are inhabiting an exclusively animated world, they get to tell a remarkably deep, multi-layered story and provide vibrant action scenes that are a theme park ride waiting to happen. I'd suggest seeing it to the IMAX to get the full adrenaline rush. The quality of Transformers 1 is a lot less surprising when you realize that the directing was is the more than capable hands of Josh Cooley, who also helmed Toy Story 4 and wrote the original Inside Out. The guy is a master of animated storytelling. Transformer 1 review where it all begins. Transformer 1 is the unlikely origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, who started out as close as brothers but eventually became strong enemies. They start out as a lowly but spirited miners on the planet Cybertron, destined to lead a humble life because they don't have the cogs necessary to transform. But their lofty and sometimes recklessly dream left them up and out of their underground bravery and hauled them into a hero's journey that will spark a revelation and an entire franchise. Transformer 1 delve into deep themes including loyalty, leadership, service, compassion, power, anger, and forgiveness, all coated in breathtaking action animation with a good dose of humor. It's a great relief to see an animated film that doesn't push that tired and fallacious message that you can do anything for a change, as encouraging as it sounds for the little one who can do anything. As hard as I try at this point in my life, I'm not going to win an Olympic gold medal in backstroke or become Chris Hemsworth's personal messiah. Speaking or writing of Chris Hemsworth, I admit I was lured to the screening by what I thought was the promise of watching Hemsworth and John Hamm, two of my favorite Hollywood hunks, for a couple of hours. So I was surprised and felt a little foolish when I was realized that this was a 100% animated film and I had only been hearing their voices, but these voices, as as those of Tyree Henry, Scarlett Johansson, Steve Buscemi, Lauren Fishburne, and Keegan Michael P. help elevate Transformer 1 to top of the year animated film levels, rated PG. The time is 1 hour and 44 minutes. If this Transformer 1 reviews encouraged you to run to the Cineplex, get times and ticket fast and watch the movie. Transformer 1 ending explain Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Cybertron's future. Transformer 1 ending changed the nature of Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Cybertron, setting up a brand new future for the franchise. After years of live-action movies, Paramount and Hasbro brought Transformers movies back to animation to explore the origin stories of Orion Pax and D16 as they become the legendary and powerful Autobots and Despician leaders. The story follows Orion Pax and D16 as they go on a journey with B-127 and Elita to find the matrix of leadership, leading the future Transformers 1 Autobots and Decepticons to unearth the dark truth about Sentinel Prime's rule of Cybertron. Once Orion Pax D16, B-127 and Alita realize the reality of Cybertron's state and loss of Energon, they take it upon themselves to share the news with the rest of Cybertron. However, Orion Pax and D16 have different ideas about the best action to take. The best friends' diverging points of view come to a head in Transformers 1 ending as they return to Icon City with conflicting plans to expose Sentinel Prime for the liar he is. What unfolds from there is an action-packed and emotional finale as Orion Pax and D16 evolve into Optimus Prime and Megatron. Optimus Prime and Megatron's war begin after freeing Cybertron from Sentinel Prime. After exploring the growing divide between Orion Pax and D16, Transformer 1 finally transitions their relationship from friends to enemies by the end. D16 is consumed by hate for Sentinel Prime because he felt betrayed by the leader he greatly admired, only second to Megatronus Prime. This left him wanting to kill Sentinel Prime after exposing his secret deal with the Quintessence to maintain his power over Cybertron and the truth
about what happened to the matrix of leadership and the Elder Primes. Meanwhile, Orion Pax wants to bring Sentinel Prime to just take the right way. Once the Transformers are back in Icon City, they succeed in overthrowing Sentinel Prime as Cybertron's leader. Orion Max plays recording for Air Chant that exposed Sentinel Prime's secret, leading all of Cybertron to turn against him. However, this is not enough for D16 and he begins fighting Sentinel Prime. Orion Pack steps in just before D16 can kill Cybertron's former leader, leading D16 to accidentally shoot his friend and drop him into Cybertron's core. With Orion out of the picture, D16 kills Sentinel Prime in front of his fellow Cybertronian and takes Megatron's cog, rebranding himself as Megatron. Just as Megatron orders an attack of Cybertron to destroy all remnants of Sentinel Prime's reign, Optimus Prime emerges from the middle of Cybertron empowered by the Matrix of Leadership. Primus helps Orion and gave him the rare power thanks to his character, leading to Orion officially becoming known as Optimus Prime. His return leads to an inevitable clash with Megatron as they fight for the right to lead Cybertron and usher in a new era for the Transformers. Ultimately, Optimus Prime defeats Megatron in Transformers 1, ending to establish himself as Cybertron's new leader. Optimus Prime becomes the leader of the Autobots and Cybertron. Orion Pax officially becomes Optimus Prime by the end of Transformer 1 thanks to the transformation he undergoes. Primus, the Transformers creator, saves him from certain death after D16 gets him drugged, bringing him before the original 13 Primes. Alpha Tyrion explains Primus' decision to trust Orion Pax and imbues him with the power of the Matrix of Leadership, with some additional abilities due to the powerful Transformers weapon. Optimus Prime emerges in Icon City as the leader that Cybertron deserved. Optimus Prime reign over Cybertron is immediately different from Sentinel Prime's as he ushers in a new age for the civilians. His leadership's main Primus allows energon to flow freely across Cybertron like it did long ago, eliminating the needs for miners. This allows Optimus Prime to restore another lost aspect of other Transformers lives from Sentinel Prime's rules as he gives transformation cogs to everyone, not known as Autobots due to their freedom and autonomy. Ion City is now inhabited by dozens, if not hundreds, of newly minted Autobots with transformation abilities. Transformers 1 Autobots are Optimus Prime, Elita, B-127 are Bumblebee, Archie, the Jazz. The impact of Optimus Prime becoming the leader of the Autobots and Cybertron extend beyond the broad scope of what it means for both. It is also an excellent development for Alita and B-127, who have proven to be trusted allies along the journey. Optimus promotes Alita to the role of commander so she can support his leadership. B-127 does not receive an official promotion and title, but Optimus does ensure that his days is sub-level 50 are over, as he will need the Autobot, better known as Bumblebee, to be right next to him as his new era begins. Optimus Prime finishes Megatron and the High Guard. As good as the future looks for Optimus Prime, the Autobots, and Cybertron, his first act as a leader comes as Megatron's expense. Optimus defeats Megatron after cutting his arm cannon in half, but he shows his former best friend mercy by not killing him, something that would not have happened if he rolls what deserves. Instead, Optimus decides to banish Megatron from Icon City and tells him to take the remnant of the High Guard with him. This marks the end of Optimus and Megatron friendship, although the evil Transformer remarks this is not our Prime as he leaves. The rationale for Optimus Prime's true decision here is somewhat unstable, even if they will come back to haunt him in time. He does not want to kill Megatron because he is preferred to show mercy over aggression, and the Autobots leader does not desire a fatal conclusion to their fight. Banishing Megatron gives him time to reconsider his action in theory. Meanwhile, having the High Guard go with him is calculated decision. Starscream and his commands are unlikely to follow Optimus Prime's rule, so it makes sense to send them away, hoping that they can peacefully return later on. Transformer 1 Decepticon are Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. Megatron and the High Guard's banishment is not the end of their story. Transformer 1 post-credit scene shows Megatron now fully in charge of the former High Guard members with Megatron Prime transformation coke in his chest. Megatron embraces the Megatron logo Sentinel Prime carved into his chest to make it the symbol for his new group, the Decepticon, named because they will no longer be deceived. Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave are confirmed members of Megatron's first wave of Decepticon, and they have now taken a new base somewhere else of Cybertron to regroup. What happened to the quintessence now? One of the biggest unanswered questions left in Transformer 1 is the future of the Constants. The movie established them as an overarching threat to Cybertron only to reveal that they helped Sentinel Prime kill the 13 Elder Prime so that he could take their power. This was done in exchange for Sentinel Prime giving them large quantities of energon at designated times, with the last shipment being short of the desired amount. Transformer 1 quintessence have not attacked Cybertron again because of the energon exchange, but that piece ends with Sentinel's death. Since Optimus Prime knows about Sentinel's dealing with the quintessence, Transformer 1's ending include a warning to the alien race not to return, but it is undetermined if they will listen to him or return to Cybertron looking for the energon they desire. Considering the large role the quintessence play in the overall franchise lore and the rather minimal screen time they received here, it would appear that Transformer 1 has left the alien race in a spot where they could return and be a larger threat to all of Cybertron. How Transformer 1 sets up a sequel. By the end of Transformer 1, the movie drops several different clues about what could come in a potential sequel. Paramount has yet to officially announce plans for a Transformer 1 sequel, but there have been indications that there is a hope that one will happen. Any future film building after 2024 animated movie would certainly continue to explore the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron as the Autobots and Decepticon take shape under their leads. The movie's final moment also helped pave the way for several missing characters to join the fight in the next installment. Optimus giving all of Icon City their transformation cogs means an entirely new wave of Autobots with transformation abilities, with Jazz and Archie among those shows receiving the cogs, and while a few different Deception members are confirmed by the credit scene, there's also room for Megatron to recruit new members or reveal other notable characters who are already part of the Deception ranks. The quintessence warning also seems noteworthy when it comes to Transformer 1 setting up of sequel. The alien race return to Cybertron under Curtis's leads could prove to be a big enough threat that Optimus Prime and Megatron could be forced to set their differences aside so Autobots and Deception fight together to save the planet. Even if they do not unite in the fashion, it would appear that the quintessence are not done by Cybertron just yet. The real meaning of Transformers 1. Transformers 1 is ultimately an animated movie aimed at kids that is more so concerned with its comedy and action, but there are still some ground thetic ideas and meaning in play, the biggest in the idea that everyone has the power to change the world, but it's up to them to determine how that will be. Alpha Tarian released a similar sentiment to Orion Pax, D16, Alita, and B 127 as they guard their transformation cogs. Each of them can now transform and change the world, but whether the results are good or bad is entirely up to them. Transformer 1 shows both sides of this idea through Optimus Prime and Megatron. Optimus Prime gains more power and becomes a great source for good, relying the manners in a city and becoming a leader worth holding the power of the matrix of leadership. He changes the world for the better. Meanwhile, Megatron becomes more consumed by hate the more his powers grows. He changes the world in his own way by killing Sentinel Prime and starting the Decepticons, but this action and motivation turn him into a villain.
Transformers 1 easily improved on the live-action Transformers movie with two key characters. Transformer 1 is one of the most beloved entries in the long-running Transformers franchise, giving audience a glimpse of the past relationship between the series' two most iconic characters, Megatron and Optimus Prime. Transformers 1 widespread acclaim was due to many factors, but it came in large part because of the film's remarkable characters, many of whom are the best interpretation of those characters on the big screen thus far. The deep and complex relationship showed between these fictional robots elevates the movie to another level entirely, building a film that is great in nearly every way. Transformers 1's cast is undoubtedly one of the best part of the movie and helps to set every single character. There are plenty of elements that make the film great, from the music to the plot to the great action, but one element that shines particularly when in the Transformers 1 that has gone mostly ignored by the rest of the live action films is having a truly great villain. Transformer 1 shines in the area, showing off two excellent examples of villainy that the live action movies should take note of. Transformer 1 shows how important great villains are in Megatron and Sentinel Prime. A great antagonist can often make or great movie, and thankfully Transformer 1 has Sentinel Prime and Megatron as two very different but nonetheless exemplary villains. Megatron is a very straightforward character, someone who starts off as a good person but is slowly corrupted and turned towards evil by the society, and he is tapped in and the people who run it. It's a classic villain archetype, but Megatron's fall in Transformers 1 is executed so well that it feels fresh and new. Sentinel Prime has a very simple motivation in the film, but that doesn't distract from the great on-screen presence. On the other hand of the villain spectrum, Transformer 1 Sentinel Prime is a perfect representation of a poorly evil, selfish character with little in the way of redeeming qualities. Sentinel Prime has a very simple motivation in the film, but that doesn't distract from his great on-screen presence. The character avoids the trap of making the poorly evil character brooding and dark, instead having him crack jokes while he kills people, which is of course doubly effective because of John Hamm's outstanding performance as this swarmy, truly distinguishable dictator. The live-action Transformer movies has never had great villains. Both Sentinel Prime and Megatron have appeared in the live-action Transformer series, but unfortunately neither of them were able to reach the same height as the characters in Transformer 1. Megatron has appeared in most of the live-action films, but his showing have been mostly quite weak. He has generally been presented as nothing more than an obstacle to the heroes, a mustache-twirling bad guy who is evil simply for the sake of being evil, without any nuance or interesting personality quirks compared to Transformer 1's contrived and sympathetic Megatron. Sentinel Prime only appeared in Transformers Dark of the Moon, where he pretended to ally himself with Optimus and the Autobots before revealing his treachery. He does have a motivation, wanting to rebuild the Transformers home of Cybertron, but the film never takes the time to properly explore the character, and he barely has a personality of his own.
Transformer 1 has a much more interesting version of both of these characters, and hopefully the live action villain problem will not continue forever. Transformer 1 sketches any chance of repeating a franchise mistake Michael Bay started. Transformer 1 stands apart from the live action movies in many ways, and one mistake that started with Michael Bay will not be repeated as the franchise continues. The 2024 animated Transformer movie is a breakaway from Paramount live action series that started with Bay's first movie in 2007. While Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Megatron are still central focus in that film, Transformer 1 put them specifically Orion Pax and D16 friendship falling apart as they become Optimus Prime and Megatron in the spotlight. That's all thanks to the franchise eliminating humans from the story. The live action franchise that Michael Bay started kept the core Autobots and Deception into prominent role, but they were always secondary to the human leads. Whether they be Sam Witwicky or Kate Higger, Transformer 1 is the first time the franchise told a complete story with the Transformer as the leads, and there is not a single human being who appears in the film. This proved to be a genuine move as the audience were able to engross themselves in Megatron and Optimus Prime rivalry. The franchise will not make a mistake in changing the either. Transformer 1 setting rules out humans from future installment. The lack of humans in the animated movie made sense given Transformer 1 replacement in the timeline, which is 300 million years before the time period of Bay's first move, even though they are not directly connected. The fact that the entire story took place on the Transformers' home planet of Cybertron also made it impossible for any human to be present. However, the established precedent for humans to be the key figure in the Transformer movies left some question about whether they could be introduced in future installments through some means. Transformer 1 director Josh Cooley essentially ruled out this possibility through the film's home release. There is a feature titled World Building on Cybertron, where various crew members discuss what went into creating the film's version of Cybertron. Cole specifically mentioned at one point that human does not even exist yet. This is notable for the franchise that is confirmed that there is currently no path for a human to be involved in upcoming installment since they are not around. So even if sequel move the story to Earth for some reasons, human will not be involved, bearing a major time jump. The live action Transformers movie did not have the luxury to not include human. Unlike Transformer 1, Michael Bay's first Transformer movie, and every live-action Transformer that follows is include a human lead character. This is Bay design as the original film was built around the relationship between a boy and his car, and the idea has carried through with each new entry. The problem with the live-action films through is that many of the Transformer human characters have overwhelmed audience, creating a feeling that they are blocking the Transformers from having a chance to be the true stars they deserve to be. Any complaints about human character being in a live action Transformer movies are understandable, but it is also a moot point. These films have to have real actors on set who can carry scenes so that the production costs do not skyrocket even higher than they already are. Ahead of Transformer 1 release, franchise producer Lorenzo Di Bovarotta suggests that making the animated film in live action would have cost over 500 million due to the reliance on CGI to create the Transformers and build the world. That's why the live action films keep including humans or want to add G.I. Joes. Transformer 1 proves why the franchise does not need human. Some audience might expect humanity to interact with Transformer 1 version of the iconic Autobots and Decepticons due to their prevalence in the live action films. The truth is that the 2024 animated movie proved that this is not necessary. The film did an excellent job developing Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, Alita, and even spotting characters like Starscream or Sentinel Prime. Transformer 1 laid the foundation for future installment to continue to build on this basics and expand on their characterization without humanity becoming a needless destruction. This should allow any Transformer 1 sequel to keep the focus on Optimus Prime and Megatron evolution as leader. This is the story that audience responded so well to, whereas those with a bogged down human subplot have not always been well received. The live action film might need the human character to actually make the movies possible from a Hollywood perspective. But Transformer 1 is evidence that they are not necessary for this story that makes the confirmation that humans don't even exist yet a reassuring sign of the franchise direction. Transformer 1 cleverly kept a core Megatron connection despite major lore changes. Transformer 1 managed to keep a strong Megatron character connection in place despite changing elements of the franchise lore surrounding it. Changes to Transformer history were not uncommon in the 2024 movie, from Transformer 1 New Optimus Prime origin story to the further fleshed out infrastructure of Icon City. Not only these but other elements of the classic franchise were slightly altered in order to craft a new set of stories based on its character, as evident by the time of Transformers 1 ending. Although Transformers 1 post-credit scene did tease the Autobot Decepticon war the Transformer fans has come to know, there are still ways the future could be different from that has come before. That said, Transformer 1 had many Easter eggs and references to prove it was not completely devoid of connection to the franchise at large. This allowed the film to be enjoyable for those familiar with the Transformers as well as a stepping on point for new audience. One of the ways Transformer 1 rode this line was through Megatron keeping a common franchise connection for his character with some big changes. Megatrons get Megatron's Prime C cog in Transformers 1's ending. The character connection in question is Megatron Prime inspiration of D16, who later becomes Megatron. The film makes clear from its early scenes how much D16 inspired to be like Megatron, one of Transformers 1's iconic Prime. In the film's act, the inspiration becomes much more active in D16 transformation into Megatron when the young Cybertronian retrieve Megatron's Prime transformation cog. Without these cogs, not all Cybertronian can transform in Transformer 1, yet D16 finds a solution. While he receives a T-Cog earlier in the movie from Alpha Taurian, D16 managed to take possession of Megatron Primes from Sentinel Prime. This solidifies not only D16 transformation into the Transformers villain Megatron but also the connection between D16 and Megatron Prime. The link between these two characters has long been part of Transformers stories, with the Transformers 1 T-Cog element finding a clever way to embed it into this new section of the universe. Transformer 1 showed why Megatron wanted to be like Megatronus. As alluded to, Megatron's connection to Megatronus Prime in Transformer 1 is not without its changes in lore. In most adaptation of the character, Megatronus Prime eventually becomes erupted into the Fallen, one of the franchise's most prominent villains. The Fallen appeared in the live-action Transformers movie timeline among the several other visions, but its comic books are animated shows in each of these stories. The Fallen was once Megatron Prime who fell to darkness. After this, the Fallen tend to become a high-ranking member of the Deceptions, explaining his connection to Megatron in most iteration of Transformers. Transformer 1, however, takes a slightly different route. Thanks to the film exploration of Megatron as D16, it shows him when he was a friend of Orion Pax, later Optimus Prime, and actually inspired by the Primes. The big lore change about Transformer 1 is that Megatron Prime never became the Fallen, instead dying a hero when Sentinel betrayed the Primes. Although Megatronus dying before becoming the Fallen is a big lore change in Transformers 1, the film still found a way to have the connection between him and D16 Megatron. Rather than have D16 Megatron be inspired by the Fallen and the Decepticon, he was simply inspired by Megatronus Prime. The latter character was often described as the strongest of the Elder Primes, greatly influencing why D16 revered him so much. Although Megatronus dying before becoming the Fallen is a big lore change in Transformer 1, the film still found a way to have the connection between him and D16 Megatron. Megatron getting Megatronus Prime's T-Cog completes his villain turn. Despite not becoming the Fallen in Transformer 1 timeline, Megatronus Prime still influenced D16 downfall into Megatron. This came in the form of after-mentioned plot point that saw D16 steal Megatronus Prime T-Cog from Sentinel Prime. D16 was already walking a dark path before this point in Transformer 1 story, but the obtainment of the Megatron's Prime Cog saw his transition into Megatron set in stone. Given that D16 already thought of Megatronus Prime as the strongest of the primes, the T-Cog somewhat imbued D16 with that same strength. Dubbing himself as Megatron, the villain then used the strength to amplify his already growing bloodlust and need for revenge, killing Sentinel Prime and turning against Orient Pax. This explains how D16 became Megatron in Transformer 1, stemming from the Calvary changes connection the character has to Megatronus Prime in the franchise's newest iterations. Transformers finally sets up a proper deception team after repeating failure, and it can even get better. Thanks to Transformer 1, the franchise has just created the means for a far better team of Decepticons that has ever been seen before on the big screen. As seen in the new animated feature depicting the origin of both Optimus Prime and Megatron and the formation of their classic faction on their home planet of Cybertron, the formation of the Decepticon is very well done. It also sets up a perfect continuation for a key character who will serve Megatron going forward. By the end of Transformer 1, the bot formerly known as D16 motivates an entire group of Dan franchise Cybertronians to rise against the lies they had long been told by Cybertron's previous Sandcraft leadership. Under Megatron's leadership, these bots refused to ever be deceived or manipulated again, hence their new names as Decepticon. To that end, it's a far cry from the Decepticons provided in the live-action Transformers films, and a sequel to the animated feature could go even further. The live-action Transformers movies repeatedly failed the Decepticons. Transformers is one of the most popular franchises of all time, and a lot of that has to do with the live-action movies that began in 2007 by Michael Bay. Brought to life with an impressive mix of CGI and practical effects, there's no denying that both the live-action Autobots and their Decepticon rival are very cool to look as they continually battle it out on planet Earth. That said, character depth and dimension for those bots are not nearly as strong when compared to human characters like Shia LaBeouf, Sam Wesky, or Mark Wilber Seeger, and the Decepticon definitely had it the worst. The live-action Decepticons have very little personality or dimension beyond being the evil boot. While there were some attempts made by Starscream to absorb Megatron's command as he does elsewhere in transformation lore, the dynamic of their relationship were never explored in any meaningful way. While Starscream was also shown to be a coward and Megatron gradually became more unhinged, the rest of the Decepticon only really served to look cool and be evil as they sought to conquer Earth. Hardly any characterization is given to any of them, especially when compared to Decepticon seen outside the big screen. Transformer 1 is a great start for Megatron and the Decepticon army. Comparatively, the animated Transformer 1 is a very good start when it comes to depicting the Decepticons. On the whole, Transformer 1 is very much focused on D16 and how he became Megatron. That said, they revealed that the majority of the Boots who become his Decepticon were once the exiled Cybertronian High Guard in Genian, giving them a dynamic motivation to reclaim Cybertron after stepping out the eruption and lies of the past, albeit by Bruce Force and Corsian. The rift that grows between Megatron and Optimus Prime is developed incredibly well, having once been brother who became rival due to Megatron's ungealing hate and refusal to let anyone else lead Cybertron along the lines of the past. As such, Megatron's come to see that power and force are the only thing that gain respect, which he indeed uses to claim command of the High Guard from Starscream to the end. This initial movie has become the perfect launchpad for a truly captivating team of Decepticons on screen, with the faction officially being born and rising up in Transformers 1 post-credit scene. A Transformers 1 sequel can flesh out the Decepticons better than the live-action films ever did. What's truly exciting is that Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave are the three most predominant Decepticons seen in the Transformers 1.
Why Sentinel Prime betrayed the Primes in Transformation 1. Transformers 1 featured Sentinel Prime as its main villain, raising question about why he betrayed the former leader of Cybertron, the Primes. The newest film in the franchise takes a somewhat different road for the origin story of Optimus Prime. In Transformers 1, Optimus is known as Orion Pax, a low-caste Cybertronian who works his life away as a miner of Energon. This links to the story of Transformers 1 Sentinel Prime, who claim there is an important reason as to why the miners must work as hard as they do. However, by the time of the Transformers 1 climactic ending, Sentinel Prime is discovered as a traitor. It is revealed that Sentinel betrayed the old Primes, leading Orion Pax and his friend D16 on a journey that sees them become the iconic figures of Optimus Prime and Megatron from Transformers lore. A potential sequel to Transformers 1 would build on its rivalry in typical Transformers fashion, yet none of it would have been possible in this universe as Sentinel Prime not betrayed the Primes to kickstart the journeys of Optimus and Megatron. Sentinel Prime was tired of serving the Primes instead of having power himself. In Transformers 1, Sentinel Prime's reasoning for betraying the other Primes is relatively straightforward. It is explained the Sentinel was once a servant of the Primes, helping them keep order on Cybertron. Sentinel was not a Prime, however, and desired the power that those above him possesses. As such, he orchestrated a story that led to the Prime's destruction, claiming the title for himself and rolling our Cybertron as its new leader. Voiced by John Hamm in Transformers 1 voice cast, Sentinel unveiled this is to Orion Pax is in the movie. In a speech in the film's third act, Sentinel explained that he betrayed the Primes out of greed after overseeing the Primes demise the begin sealing Energon to the Queenstone, a major enemy of the Cybertronian. Doing so, Sentinel scored his position as the leader of a Icon City and falsely constructed a reason for most of his subject into servitude. This allowed Sentinel Prime to live like a king with ultimate resources, power, and sway over the people of Icon. Eventually, though, this backfired against him when D16 became Megatron, subsequently killing Sentinel out of revenge. Sentinel Prime, betrayed in Transformers 1, is pulled away from the franchise lore. Transformers 1's decision to portray Sentinel Prime as a villain is one that somewhat consistent with the franchise lore. Although Sentinel was a hero in the original animated series, The Transformer, he has shown to be an antagonist in other editions. For example, Sentinel Prime was the main villain of 2011 Transformers Dark of the Moon and the third installment in the live-action Transformers movies timeline.
Sentinel Prime was initially depicted as the leader of the Primes as he was in the original show, the one who harbored a dark secret. Live action Transformer movie Transformers villain is Megatron. Transformer Revenge of the Fallen, the villain is the Fallen. Transformer Dark of the Moon, the villain is Sentinel Prime Megatron. Transformer Age of Extinction, the villain is Quantessa off-screen Lockdown Galvatron. Transformer The Last Night, the villain is Quantessa, Galvatron and Unicorn. Bumblebee, the villain is Shatter, Dropkick. Transformer Rise of the Beast, the villain is Scorch and Unicorn. It is revealed that Sentinel made a deal with Megatron to ensure the survival of the Cybertronian with their planet now destroyed. Sentinel and Megatron form a plan to bring Cybertron to Earth, taking it from the humans as their new home. This started a wave of Sentinel being a villain in its different iteration of the series, from the IDW comic Transformers More Than Meets the Eye to Cartoon Network Transformer Animated Transformer 1 simply follows this trend, having Sentinel by a formerly benevolent character who betrayed his people in a gasp of power. How Sentinel Prime kept his betrayal a secret for so long in Transformer 1. One of the main questions after Transformer 1 Sentinel Prime reveal is how he kept his betrayal a secret for so long. The reason for this stems from the deal Sentinel strikes with the Quintessence, the primary enemies of the Cybertronian in the Transformers 1 timeline. Sentinel's treaty with the Quintessence states that they will allow Icon City to stand with Sentinel as its leader if he regularly provide them with energon. Sentinel provides this by taking this Transformer Corps of Icon City's miner and forcing them into a life of servitude.